Welcome back to my channel, Mischief here, bringing you another video. Today I wanted to briefly discuss something that has been on my mind for quite some time, and that is the current state of DOT. I'm sure we've all seen the videos, the doom posting, and the large amounts of copium that other DOT enjoyers are snorting. And before I say anything else, I am one of those people. And yes, it'll be that kind of video. So buckle up and hear me out. DOT, otherwise known as damage over time, is a mechanic that inflicts damage to enemies at the start of their turn and comes in 4 different types of damage, such as burn, bleed, shock, and wind shear. These debuffs can be inflicted by character abilities and weakness break. DOT is my most played archetype in Honkai Star Rail. In fact, it is the only archetype that I've played in Honkai Star Rail since Kafka's release and onwards. One reason because the archetype is fun. As for the main reason, however...
Hi, Astral Expressors. Well, you caught me.
Anyway, we are at the current stage of the meta where DOT has been deprived of receiving any major upgrades since patch 2.0, which is during Black Swan's release, sometime around February. So basically, we've almost went through an entire year of not receiving any major DOT support. And on behalf of every DOT enjoyer out there, Hoyo, what are you doing? We need new support. We need to make DOT great again. My DOT team is somewhat invested, so I'm kind of able to clear endgame content such as MOC, Pure Fiction, and Apocalyptic Shadow. The problem is, it doesn't seem like I'm following the intended playstyle, and I do not want to imagine what the gameplay feels like for other players who have minimum investment in their units. For DOT to make its comeback, we need a character that actually makes us feel like we're doing damage over time, rather than doing nothing over time. Since the release of Jiaosho, many players were disappointed over his kit not supporting the DOT archetype at E0. However, through its E2, he is able to serve as a great unit and outperform the likes of Runmei and Robin. Bear in mind that both characters are insanely valuable for the DOT archetype. However, I doubt that most players that are free to play are willing to spend resources on an E2 Jiaosho. To put it into perspective, free to play players would need to have 450 rolls minimum to guarantee E2 Jiaosho. This is including losing 50/50s and getting a 5-star every 75 pulls. For every 90 pulls, the amount needed is going to be 540, so E2 Jiaosho for the free-to-play players is a big no-no. Now, with another Fire Nihility character on its way in Tingyun's new 5-star form, otherwise known as Fugue, some players have once again been disappointed that Fugue is not Kafka's new best in-slot option for the premium DOT comp. On the other hand, I am not disappointed with Fugue being a break-focused unit. With Remembrance being a new selectable path for the Trailblazer, they'll be freed up from super break comps and transition into newer comps. However, you could still use the Harmony Trailblazer for super break comps too if that's what you're aiming to do, but knowing how power creep works in this game, I wouldn't place all my money into super break, but instead the new archetypes. This brings me onto my next point, and this is something that I've been considering trying out. Many people tried it with Jiaosho, but can we do it with her? If you guessed it, yes, I'm proposing the idea of throwing Fugue into DOT. Kafka is one of the few characters that naturally benefit from break effect even outside of breaks, thanks to her ability to detonate her shocks. And thanks to Fugue, we can easily achieve shocks and maximize its effectiveness. To put it into perspective, let's consider Kafka's base attack with her signature Lightcone without attack percent or damage bonus. Kafka's shock is going to deal 3,656 damage. Base break shock at level 80 deals 7,534 damage. Break effect's main stats and substats also tend to outperform attack percent in raw value. However, there are 2 significant challenges with a break effect build for Kafka. The first major issue is that players may not reliably trigger breaks, which reduces the build's effectiveness. Secondly, building break effect comes with an opportunity cost, as it means sacrificing attack-focused builds that will provide more consistent damage output. Fugue solves the first problem and also addresses the second. In addition to this, Fugue offers several advantages. She always triggers a break with her ultimate, applying a decent break burn that can be detonated, resulting in 3 damage over time effects. 4 if we're going to include her best in-slot Lightcone. She also provides free break effect, removing the need to build for it through relics and stats, and grants free super break damage. Fugue also retains the same defense reduction as Black Swan, but doesn't require skill points, making this benefit even more significant. Defense reduction scales pretty hard when stacked and works seamlessly with the Prisoner Relic set. Additionally, since Fugue doesn't need that much effect hit rate, she can equip Resolution Shines for even more defense reduction. This combination increases increases damage output by approximately 10% from the Prisoner Relic set alone, 26% when adding Black Swan's or Fugue skill, and up to a total of 36% with Resolution. But there's more. With Fugue, you can deal extra break damage twice by targeting the additional weakness bar, significantly increasing your damage output. This also eliminates the need to rely on Black Swan's buffs, reducing the value of Runmei in this strategy. As a result, you can replace Runmei with Harmony MC, who offers far greater synergy. Harmony MC provides around 100% break effect through Eidolons, their ultimate and the Watchmaker, while also contributing a massive increase in super break damage. This makes them an excellent choice for maximizing the effectiveness of a break focused comp. To put it into perspective, with 130% free break effect, Fugue and Harmony MC combine to double normal break damage. This boosts the break shock to a whopping 17,328 damage with the 130% break effect, and the break burn hits for 8,664 damage thanks to the Fugue Thief set and Harmony MC buffs. On top of that, you can reach 260% break effect and up to 54% defense shred, all without having to worry about weaknesses. And the best part, this all comes from a build with zero break effect on Kafka. Now, the TLDR of everything I said, I definitely think that Fugue will turn Kafka into DOT's Firefly, and as a DOT enjoyer, if we can't beat them, we join them. Now, the real question is whether this outperforms the buffs from Runmei and the damage boosts provided by Black Swan. Regardless, I'll be pulling for Fugue anyway because she's cool, love her design as well. If anything does happen, I'll work on a separate video and showcase my findings. Also, a little side note, it seems that debuffs that increase break damage do not affect break DOT damage. In case anyone was wondering, it doesn't seem to work with Gallagher's ultimate debuff, so it's unlikely to work with Fugue's Lightcone either. However, it does work for super break damage. Another idea could be to allow actions passed to tick enemy DOTs without detonating them, adding some depth to the playstyle. However, the biggest issue is how DOT is applying their effects. They get reapplied with every attack, such as through Kafka's Lightcone. This constant reapplication would reset the counter and render the overtime scaling useless for most DOTs except Black Swans. I think that this approach could work, but the function of DOT application would need to change. Instead of reapplying the debuff, it would need to refresh the existing DOT, allowing it to scale properly over time without being interrupted. This change would keep the mechanic clean and functional while giving DOTs a unique edge. Super Break works by considering break effect and break efficiency stats that most DPS characters don't typically build. Super Break works by considering break effect and break efficiency stats that most characters don't typically build. Its formula focuses on the character and their actions, making it a unique playstyle. To create a similar mechanic for DOT, the formula should utilize effect hit rate and the character's own effect hit rate. One of the main issues with DOT is that they are backloaded, relying on enemy turns to show their value. To address this, we could introduce a two-part effect similar to how Exo Toughness and Super Break function. The first part, let's say, would be X, triggering damage immediately upon application of the DOT. This gives an instant payoff for applying a DOT, making them feel more impactful. The second part would be Y, which represents the detonation effect, causing a final burst of damage after the DOT has run its course or been manually triggered. This two-stage system would give DOTs a more front-loaded and dynamic impact while preserving their long-term damage potential. X and Y together could make DOT teams feel more rewarding to play and help them compete with crit and break builds in a meaningful way. On application, the damage of the DOT should scale based on the likelihood of applying the DOT, otherwise using the character's effect hit rate. This makes the application phase more strategic and rewards investment in accuracy. For the detonation phase, the focus should shift to using effect hit rate as a scaling factor to allow the DOT to crit, creating a secondary payoff for high effect hit rate builds. The X mechanic would increase the damage of DOTs when they are applied, providing an immediate impact that complements the detonation. This effect could also be extended to include any debuff application, allowing characters like Black Swan to participate fully in the system. This approach gives DOT characters a front-loaded and backloaded damage profile while creating synergy with other debuff-focused characters. It also makes effect hit rate a more valuable stat for both applying and maximizing the damage of DOTs and debuffs. The Y effect would function as a detonation that triggers between enemy turns, scaling with the user's effect hit rate and attack. This would allow DOTs to consistently deal damage, creating the true feeling of a damage over time mechanic. To enhance the strategy further, Y would also scale based on the remaining duration of the DOT, increasing increasing damage as more turns are left. This reverses the typical focus on action-based damage and rewards well-timed DOT applications. This system removes the need to rely on follow-up attacks or summons to increase the volume of attacks for DOT teams, making them more independent and efficient. Then again, the devs could simply release a more dedicated support or sustain character with an A6 passive that reads, DOTs deal X% false damage when they deal damage. Honestly, this seems like a likely solution. It would be a straightforward way to boost DOT effectiveness without requiring significant mechanical overhauls or major changes. What do you guys think? Is this cope? Does this work? Are you going to pull her regardless? Let me know what you think in the comments below. With that being said, I'll catch you guys in a bit.